Alright fellas, well we have way more information about the roadmap to Garcia Haney 2, with that being who their official opponents are. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh has announced the 3 biggest fights that we're going to see on this May card, and I gotta say, I'm pretty excited for them. With it being announced that we'll see Ryan Garcia face off against Romero out of all people, as well as Haney versus José Ramírez and Bola versus Jaga. We gotta break down all of these fights. Now a few days ago the roadmap to Garcia Haney 2 was announced, and to remind you if you didn't hear, Garcia and Haney are set to fight on a card in May against different opponents. And then as long as they win, they will end up fighting each other on a card in October. The first card is in the States and the second card is in Saudi Arabia. Think about the card before De La Hoya and Hopkins faced off, or even the Day of Reckoning Saudi card, which never saw a part 2. It's basically the same sort of setup. And this original announcement had me super surprised, but not exactly because of the announcement, more so because of the reaction. They literally announced the pathway to Garcia Haney 2 and no one seemed to care at all. It was pretty crazy to me. All this hype, all their back and forth, yet when it basically was made official, no one was talking. Even the press wasn't really reporting on it. But anyway, today we saw the Saudis announce the official lineup for this May card. And if you saw my last video, I was almost right. We have Haney fighting Ramirez, but with Garcia, I don't think anyone expected Romero. The immediate Garcia rumor was of course against Teo, with him even responding to the tweet. Yet quickly it seemed that Pitbull would end up being Ryan's opponent. It was said His Excellency had been in talks with Pitbull, and as long as he wins in a couple weeks, it would give him enough time to line up for that big card in May. But obviously that wouldn't end up happening, with Romero taking the main event spot against Ryan Garcia. It's a bit of a weird one. I think everyone thought that Pitbull would be next. But thinking about it, I'm not exactly sure if Pitbull is tied down to a multi-fight deal over at PBC. Maybe Rolly wasn't. Also, there was talks that Pitbull just didn't want to negotiate until after his next fight, which the Saudis wanted him to negotiate before, and then went with another option because he wasn't willing. Yep, either way, we got Ryan versus Rolly. For the Saudis, it's clear they want to try and seal the deal for the rematch. They don't want to take big risks, but they want to make as much noise as they possibly can, and if you want noise, Rolly Romero is absolutely your man. Rolly, let's be honest, isn't the best boxer, but is technically a previous world champ, and certainly knows how to create hype. That fight against Tank Davis had us all hyped up just for the fact that Rolly knew how to talk. He's a funny character, and tied with Garcia, those press conferences are gonna be like a stand-up show. Think about it, Haney, Garcia and Rolly all at one press conference table. It's also kinda wild to think we paid $80 pay-per-view to watch Tank fight him, but for Garcia he's just a tune-up. It's kinda mad to think about. But let's talk about the fight itself. I think on paper it should be a pretty easy win for Garcia. Garcia's accuracy and speed will simply be too much. Rolly's unorthodox style has got him far, but once he stepped up in competition, it's clear those waters are a bit too deep. What goes along with that unorthodox style is a weak guard, and his chin's usually up in the air. It's perfect for a precision puncher to take advantage of. I didn't think Rolly looked exceptional against his last opponent, Manuel Jaimez. He did use his distance and jab better than in previous fights, but simply not going to be enough against Ryan. I just see Ryan countering Rolly all night long and using his aggression against him. Although of course it is boxing and Rolly's unorthodox style could see him throw something at an awkward angle which clips Garcia. Although I don't really see that happening. But I think for the fans it is an exciting matchup entertainment wise. But Haney's matchup is the tougher fight in general. Now Ramirez's last fight was against Arnold Barboza Jr., in which he put up a pretty close fight. Against Haney, we're looking at a pretty big style clash between the two. Haney is more of a technical defensive fighter, whilst Ramirez is a classic aggressive pressure fighter. For Haney to win, he would have to keep Ramirez at bay with his jab, frustrate him with movement, and as Ramirez lunges forwards, which he does a bit, ensure that he is countering effectively. For Ramirez to win, he would need to cut that ring and close that distance. He would need to land consistently and keep Haney uncomfortable for a chance of winning. As I said in my previous video, it should be interesting to see how Haney bounces back. Many fighters, after a pretty bad loss, can bounce back, yet some just can't. And Haney, although it wasn't a loss on paper, certainly copped a beating. It will be interesting to see if his confidence is still there, and if there are any mental scars from the previous fight which have the potential to affect him, alike to what happened to Tim Tszyu in his last fight. If Haney is on point, it's hard not to see him walk away with the win, but if he isn't, he could be in a world of trouble. but once again, the Saudis want both Garcia and Haney to win, so I would doubt they would put either against someone they think they would struggle with. Even with the Day of Reckoning card, they put Wilder against Parker, someone on paper who they thought should be an easy fight for Wilder, but obviously were proven wrong. These warm-up fights are almost like insurance for the Saudis, to prove that the fighters are ready for that big fight. Although in this case, I think both Haney and Garcia should be ready. Then there was the third matchup announced, which was Bola versus the Jaguar. If you're a casual, you probably don't really know either name. They're both what I would classify as top heavyweights, but lesser known names. But this is a pretty exciting fight worth your attention. Bola, I would say, is more well-rounded, but both men have punch power that could change the fight at any moment. Bola's higher work rate and comfortability in close quarters could give him that edge, but neither fighter is known for their great defensive ability, so expect a quality slugfest. I do see Bola getting the win and getting through with some sort of short uppercuts which will give a Jaguar trouble, yet with the power from both it could really go either way. But at this rate, Bola seems to be just clearing out the whole top-ranked heavyweight roster, with his last win being against one of Top Rank's golden boys, Jared Anderson. Over the last 6 months, there has been a lot of hype surrounding Bola, but all I can think about is his fight against Michael Hunter. It showed that anyone really with a bit of technical skill at heavyweight can really give Bola a lot of trouble. But this upcoming fight isn't that, and it will be a quality heavyweight slugfest. Something a tad weird about this promotion is that it will be used to advertise a video game called Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. I don't really get the link between SNK and the Saudis, but hey, there must be something for them to be so keen to advertise it. Yet either way, this card is certainly set to be exciting. I'm just looking forward to the Romero banter on the big stage more than anything. But truly, all we want to see is Haney versus Garcia too. But they got to get past the May card first, and I guess only time will tell. Now, I want to hear your thoughts about the announcement. Did you have Romero as a potential opponent, and how do you see these matchups going? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And also, for all you fellas who've made it this late in the video, make sure to tune into the next one because I've got a pretty cool announcement coming up. But, thanks for watching fellas, I'll catch you in the next one.